Hey everyone, it's Steve here with a Support Fusion Integration Spotlight. Today what I'm going to be doing is taking you through the full setup of a Jira organization connecting with a ConnectWise organization. So the starting point here is that both organizations have registered accounts with Support Fusion and they have entered their API details and also set up the integration here. So if you're not sure how to do any of that, go back and look at the documentation or videos involved with that. But that's the starting point here. And now what we're going to do is go through the configuration of the two sides. So let's start with the default settings for ConnectWise. We select the relationship here. And what we're going to do is I'll set a few default values and then I'll talk you through them. Alright, so what I've got here is the settings for the tickets that will come from the Insight organization into Major IT's ConnectWise. So first off, we've got to choose the board that they'll land on. So this is a managed services contract, that's where they'll land. They'll be given the default company Insight, they'll be in the default state of created, and they'll have a default priority of normal. Some of these settings are required, some aren't, and that's just based on what ConnectWise needs to create a ticket. Now, when we're sharing comments, I don't want to share my internal comments, but I do want to share the public discussion and resolution comments. I want to share attachments from the tickets back to Insight. I'm not so worried about time entries at the moment. And I also do some proactive monitoring on behalf of Insight. So if I create a ticket on that managed services board under Insight, I want that created back into their Jira. So that's what I've configured there. That's all ready to go. So I'm going to save that. And now let's go and have a look at the similar settings on Insight's Jira board. All right, we're back. This time we're logged in as Insight. So we're going to go back to the same settings area. You can see we've got the API set up, and we're going to go and configure the integration from the Insight point of view. So what we're doing here is deciding where we're going to pull the tickets from that we want to sync over to Mage IT. So I'm going to set that up and then I'll talk you through it. Okay, I've made some settings here. So the tickets are going to pull from the SUP or support project. They're going to be by a specific queue because I've set up a queue in Jira to just have the tickets that are relevant for Mage IT. If they are resolved on the ConnectWise side from Mage, they'll come in with the resolution code done. And I want to sync both my types of comments here, my attachments, and if they create a ticket and sync it across from Mage back to the Insight organization, I want it to come in as a task. So I've got that configuration now and I'm going to save that, and now we're ready to go over to the sync. So on the sync page here, if I start an initial sync, it'll tell me that I'm still missing one part of the configuration. So I've done the integration defaults for both sides, but we still need to do the joint field mapping. So let's go and do that now. All right, we're over on the field mapping tab. I'm going to set a few values like I did before, and then I'll talk you through what I set up. All right, I've set up some fields now. So you can see I've got a few different ones here. The summary is the ticket title. The description maps to the initial description in ConnectWise. And where I've got pick list items like the priority, if I go and have a look at how I've set that up, I've changed the mapping type to value, and I've been able to map all the different values that have come from the board on the ConnectWise side and the project or space on the Jira side. And on the status values, I've got those there as well, set up in a similar way. So now that we've got the field mapping, we've got the integration default set up, we're all ready to sync. So let's go and do that now. Since it's the first sync, it's going to ask me how far back in time I want to start, and I'm going to choose half an hour ago, and let's get going with the first sync. All right, that's just finished, and I can see that the test ticket that I created in Jira, SUP 589, has synced across to ConnectWise as 1742. So now I can go through, test all those fields mapped correctly, and make sure I'm happy with the setup of the integration. And then once I've Happy with that, I can turn on the auto sync here, and then the integration will run in the background. So I hope you enjoyed this integration spotlight. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye.